And the flow of the program today is the Toastmaster of this evening, Deirdre Omuraku, will introduce the role holders. Then we'll have table topics for nearly half an hour. I'm not sure whether we'll have refreshment. There's water anyway, so that's good. And then we'll have the prepared speeches. We have 2 prepared speeches. I don't know whether Sanjeev is going to join later. So if he joins later, he's going to join online and he will do a speech. And then we have speech from Siobhan as well. She's the district division. Which division, Siobhan? You're going to represent District 72.
That's right.
In the district finals. So we'll have a district champion speech later on. So looking forward to that. With that, I would like to hand over our, we don't have a real gavel, to the Toastmaster of this evening, Deirdre Omuraku. Huge round of applause for Deirdre.
Now I have the virtual gavel here in front of me. Thank you very much, Samesh. If I could get those of you online who aren't speaking, just mute your mic until it's time for you to speak. And then we start the meeting. I'm going to start the meeting today with our opening quote. And the opening quote is, you're very familiar with this, it's a Chinese proverb. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. So apply that to your speeches. It's never too late to start speaking. Tonight can be your first time. Tonight can be your new tree that you're planting. Now, starting it off, we're going to get straight down to it. And I'm going to start with the timer for this evening. And the timer for this evening is Francis Keenan. Francis, if you could outline your role to us for everybody here and everybody online.
Right, thanks. Just make sure I'm on, yeah. Well, thanks for that, Deirdre. My role would be, particularly with topics, if a person is speaking on a topic for the very first time, the red light will go on after 2 minutes. And that's a sign that the speaker should stop if possible. Any add-ons will be for 1 minute. And after the 1 minute, the red light will come on. Those are the topics. But when we look at speeches, we take one 5 to 7 minutes. At 5 minutes, the green light will come on and remain on. At 6 minutes, the yellow light will come on and will remain on. And after 7 minutes, the red light will come on and will remain on until the speaker finishes. So that's basically how the lights work.
So Francis, just before you go, if I could ask you, if you could tell us how long are you in Toastmasters and what's your favorite proverb or shannock?
I've been in Toastmasters about 16 years, I suppose. I joined in 2004. That's more, actually. My favorite proverb is, hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever dies.
Thank you very much for that, Francis. So now we'll move on to the next person on our list, and it's Monica Salazar. And Monica is the grammarian this evening. So I messaged around everybody in the room to ask them these same questions, similar questions to that I asked Francis. So Monica said, one of the questions was, tell me if you've ever counted your chickens before they've hatched. And Monica says, well, I actually don't like to count my chickens before they've hatched. I used to be very careful about my plans and definitely prefer to keep them secret so they don't distract me. If I need advice, I can get that, but I'm not giving much details. The feeling of having what I wanted when it's actually happening is definitely better than feeling disappointed for not getting that. So Monica, your role this evening is grammarian. So if you'd like to come up here and tell us about your role and give us the word of the day.
Sure. Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests. As a grammarian, it's my responsibility to pay close attention to all the speakers, listening carefully to their language usage. I take note of any improper languages, as well as any outstanding words, quotes, sayings. As grammarian, it's also my duty to introduce the word of the day. For today's meeting, the word is jovial, which means endowed with or characterized by a hearty, joyous humor or a spirit of good fellowship. An example of that is a wonderfully jovial host. Michael was a jovial and optimistic mood. So thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster.
Takes a while to get back into the swing of clapping every time everybody speaks. You know, online we waved, or we try not to make too much noise when we're online, but we're back here to clapping. So thanks very much to our jovial grammarian for that, for telling us all about her duties. And Monica has been in Toastmasters for approximately 6 months. Toastmasters has been an enjoyable activity for her and brings a lot to her life in terms of practicing and learning public speaking. So now I'm going to hand the gavel over to our topics master for the evening. She'll tell us all about the role, and I will ask her the same questions. How long has she been in Toastmasters? And if she's ever counted her chickens before they have hatched, could she tell us all about it? And or she could tell us what her favorite Shanachal or proverb is. Helen Keenan, topics master.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our guest Mark. It's my privilege to be here tonight and be your topics master. I've been asked how long I've been in Toastmasters. Well, I think I've been longer than the club exists, which is around 32 or 3 years at this point. And I've often been asked, why are you doing that? Why are you here? And it's because it gives me a great buzz and I enjoy it so much. And I've met so many different people through being in Toastmasters. So fellow Toastmasters, that's my little spiel. And I have to say that when I came into Toastmasters, the very first night, I remember being a guest, and a man called Killian Kennedy. He was a teacher in Longford, and he looked at me and he went, Níl ein tinton mar do tinton féin. And I stood up and I looked at him and I answered this in Irish, and he got a shock. But he, for those who are non-Irish, it means there's no comfort like your own fireplace, or there's no comfort like your own home. And it's a roundabout way of saying it. And to me, I think it's a lovely phrase to hold on to, that, you know, your own place is always the best place. In fact, your own bed's always the best bed. Your own armchair is always the best armchair. Your own house is always the most comfortable. When you go away, you come back to it and you love it. So that's how I got introduced into Toastmasters. And I have to say to you, Níl ein tinton mar do tinton féin. Let's get started. We're looking for people to try and last and speak for a full 2 minutes. So I'll be asking our timer, Frances, to put up a hand and say, wow, you did it. You got your 2 minutes. So let us get started. I was asked recently, was I still in the talking shop? And I looked at them and I said, yes. Would you say that is a good description of Toastmasters? Derek.
But online people will listen as well. So, yeah, please go near the
Hello, fellow Toastmasters. Derek here. Yes, I would say Toastmasters is the talking shop, because at the end of the day, that's what happens at Toastmasters. There's a lot of talking, and there's a lot of listening as well, and a lot of talking. But it all boils down to the talking and building up confidence talking. So yes, yeah.
Thank you very much
Thank
indeed,
you.
Derek. Thank you, Derek. Would anybody like to add to that? We are a talking shop. Thank you. Spring has sprung. What do you like most about spring? Monica.
Thank you very much, Madam Topic Master. Yeah, about the spring, I like everything, the colors, and mostly the flowers. I like during spring, keep a lot of flowers around me and different colors always make me feel happy, and I really enjoy that part. Also, I like to wear different type of clothes where I can enjoy also a bit of the sun and all the beautiful weather in the spring. And yeah, I think mostly that's the part that I enjoy. So thank you very much.
Anybody else like to talk about their spring? Thank you very much. How do you explain war to young children? Siobhan?
Thank you very much, Madam Topics Master. How do I explain war to young children? I don't really go there too much, especially I'm taking that to refer to the current crisis and attacks and atrocities in the Ukraine. I feel that I don't have to explain anything to the children because they hear so much. They hear so much from media at home, in the news. They hear their parents talking about it. They are concerned, they are worried. And I really feel that my role is not to explain anything to them in relation to war, but rather to listen to their concerns, to listen to their understandings, to create as safe and secure an environment for them in their everyday lives. Because I think how children interpret these things, sometimes we can't comprehend that. I remember once hearing that there's a huge difference between a child watching a horror movie, sitting in a room on their own and watching a horror movie, and a child sitting on their parents' lap watching a horror movie. If a child is watching and trying to understand these things from a place of safety, their understanding is different. I suppose the one thing that I would have taught them, thinking about when I've had to teach about the different world wars or different conflicts, is that there is good and bad in the world. And it's important for them to know that there's good and bad in us all even, but there's good and bad in the world. I think, and I do believe, a hell of a lot more good than bad. So it's really about making them aware, but I think rather than explaining anything, listening is so important. Thank you, Madam Topics Master.
Thank you very much, Siobhan.
I'm sorry, Helen. My battery is gone at the moment and I can't seem to get it going. So if you lose me, I'll try and get back. Okay?
All right, thank you very much, Siobhan. Thank you very much, Francis. We hope you stay with us.
I hope so too.
My friend is a qualified lawyer. She has not practiced. She loves dogs and she's running the dog pound down in Galway. Do you love dogs that much, Sharon?
Thank you very much. Yes, I do love dogs. If I was a choice between a dog and a cat person, I am definitely a dog person. It has to be said. When you were speaking of the subject, my mind raced first of all to why your friend was qualified in something, but then not doing what she was qualified in and instead following another passion. And I think that's very important to see how we can change from what we are supposed to or set out to do. When we do the Leaving Cert, I have a fella here and he's picking points and he's picking a career based on points. He would love to run free with dogs. I don't know how many points that would take, but why do we not follow our passions? Or why do we not follow our purpose? Or is purpose and passion both? But if my thing was to roll around with dogs all day in a dog pound, certainly picking up after a lot of dogs and cleaning a lot of dogs, or be a lawyer, there's some indication that you're picking up after dogs and you're picking up after people. But no, dogs would be my passion, but not so much so that I would want more than my pet dog at home, who unfortunately we lost at Christmas. And never before had I understood the loss of a dog and the impact that a dog has on a family home. This was our first dog that we had had. And the children were just devastated, and we spoke about the dog and everyone had their own story about the dog and what the dog meant to them. And we still haven't removed the bed from the back kitchen. We still have it there because it is such a loss to us, and a loss that I never understood before. When people lost their dogs, I would think it's only a dog, but I know now what it's like to not just have only a dog, but to have my dog. So yes, I do love dogs. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Sharon. Would you take Tony Connolly's job, Matt? He is the reporter from Ukraine and he's over there at the moment.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster. I did not know about this person, Tony Connellan. Thank you for informing who he is. I have a great respect and admiration for this person. I would not be able to do this. I always wonder how people are doing this, how people are risking their lives in a war zone place and reporting on behalf of a news channel. I can never understand how people can do that. And that also reminds me of how people work for army, for example, and they go and defend their own country. That also is really amazing thing to see. I think in the heart of hearts, we all know that when we are with people, when we are actually genuinely trying to help people, we are at a great place. We are at a place where we are not only getting a great buzz out of it, as you say, from the talking shop, but we also become jovial. So it's a combination of getting a buzz and becoming jovial. And I think it's really amazing to see people being selfless. We see this generally in mothers, especially in our normal family life. Mother is an example of total selflessness. Even when the mother is carrying the child within the womb, they are going through so much. And then the process of actually giving birth, it's so painful. So, and then after that, raising the child, there's so much of selflessness involved there. So in terms of a family life, mother would be an example of total selflessness in terms of raising their children to be good citizens, to be good people. And I think this is really a great question you have asked, Madam Topics Master. It's just, I always am amazed at how people can be so selfless, because life is something that is extremely dear to us. I think like if someone is going to risk their own life, it's just amazing. I can never understand how someone can do that. And to answer your question finally, no, I'm not in that position to be such a great person like Tony Connellan. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Matt. Has mobile phones become the new addiction? And I'd like to ask that to our new guest, Mark.
Evening all. Thank you for the welcome. So mobile phones, I'm probably of an age where I can remember the onset of mobile phones. I can remember a time when nobody had one. And I can remember the time when they started becoming more and more prevalent. When I think back to about 20 years ago, a mobile phone was something I reacted to. It was sitting in the corner of the kitchen. And when it beeped, I picked it up and I looked at a message and read a message. Or when it rang, I answered the call. Nowadays, I find my phone isn't something I'm reacting to. It's something I'm nearly drawn to. I'm picking it up, I'm checking stupid notifications, I'm looking at Twitter, I'm Googling when Toastmasters Athlone is on, all this sort of stuff. So I find that there probably is a bit of an addiction creeping in, and I can see it more and more in younger people, but even for myself, my age, I do have some concerns about what it's doing to my brain chemistry. So I think it is an issue, and probably one that's going to get worse as time goes on. That's probably all I have for now.
Thank you very much, Mark. Well done, Mark. Delighted to hear your views.
Sharon,
I don't know, Madam Topics Master, if there's time for more.
Sharon there would like to speak.
Sharon, is it?
Yes, we have time for some
Oh,
more.
Sharon. Thank you, Sharon.
My name is Sharon, and I am a mobile phone addict. Yes, they are totally addictive if you allow them to be. I mean, used to be a thing that when I woke up in the morning, I had an alarm clock that went off, but now I have a mobile phone that goes off. While it's in my hand, so I'm turning off my alarm, I might as well look at them notifications that have just pinged up the moment I'm awake. I'm ashamed to admit it because that's not really what I want to be doing first thing in the morning. But who knows? I mean, I could miss something, right? Yes, they are an addiction, particularly when we have to charge them. We can't allow that battery to run down and for us to run out of charge. My question is, do we charge our own batteries, our own energy levels, and protect ourselves the way we do our phones? I couldn't guarantee I always do. Madam Topics Master.
Thank you very much. Have we any other comment on that? Nothing online. Madam Toastmaster, shall I go ahead?
At least another two.
At least another two. Okay, we're going to double up. If we have no oil or gas, what then, Smash?
Thank you very much, Madam Topics Master. If we have no oil or gas, then what then? Great question. And this is what we are facing currently in the unfortunate situation of this unprecedented crisis. We always have to think about renewable sources of energy. And I think we are doing well in terms of that by having the wind generations and the solar energy, hydroelectric as well. It's quite important to get this renewable cycle going on. Recently, I saw a video which is talking about generating this energy from helium. So it was talking about two hydrogen atoms colliding with each other. And that creates helium. And this helium, it seems, has got amazing amount of power. And if we can create energy that way, that will be, because hydrogen is available, it's freely available everywhere. It's a gas that is available everywhere. So things like that, I think the science has to keep making these advancements. And somehow I feel the technological advances that we have made in terms of all the Zoom and all the other things, somehow it has not been that advanced in terms of creating these renewable sources of energy. And I don't know, I have heard these conspiracy theories, but they might be true as well, that there is some kind of conspiracy behind continuing with these types of non-renewable energies. Because there are some people who are making billions and billions out of the people who are using these non-renewable energies. And they have some kind of vested interest that these things continue the way they are. But then we have some people who are totally focused on working in the renewable energy direction. And one of the examples is the electric cars, for example. We have the different types of electric cars that are coming in. And that is, I think, one of the good ways of trying to understand how we can use the renewable energy. I think the government is trying to do a lot in terms of helping people to go that way. But as the saying of a political party goes, a lot done and more to do. So I think it's important that we continue in the direction of renewable energy. Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much for that. Anybody else like to give us their comments? Deirdre.
Apologies, those noises I was making that time were my phone. I was trying to do the timer job because Francis has vanished from the screen. So I couldn't find bells. I visited a brother the other day and he showed me he brought me up to his attic to show me two things in his attic, and he showed me outside his house and his solar panels installed just recently, just a couple of months. He's an app on his phone and the app showed how much money, how many kilowatts he was contributing to the grid, and that he was actually making money at that point. So I haven't got there yet, we'll see.
It looks like we have a new direction to go in terms of energy and in terms of technology, and let us all grasp it. Well, I think Madam Toastmaster is telling me, oh, I can have one more topic. Does the wonderful spring sunshine affect our mood? Monica.
Oh, thank you very much, Madam Topics Master, sorry. Yeah, I think definitely, yeah, the sunlight change our mood. And this is something that is it's very related to our chemical body and hormones. I mentioned before that there are some hormones that we produce in the day and others during the night, and all of them help us to change our mood also. So During the night, we feel like sleep, and our brain and our body, everything is preparing to rest and recover our self. But with the light, we definitely feel we got a lot of blue rays, and those blue rays, especially emitted by the sun, give us signals in our body to move, to keep moving, to have energy and to be awake. So yeah, definitely the mood and can change for how we are getting with the light and so on. And we feel a little more jovial, especially in a very jovial mood. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think Monica must have been the most jovial of the whole lot of us, because we didn't use our jovial word very well, did we? If you had to identify with an animal, which one would you choose? I'm going for Siobhan.
Thank you, Madam Topics Master. Well, I was racking my brains as you were looking around the rooms try to think of a jovial animal. And I think I definitely would like to be something quite lively. I would say, a dog person more than a cat person. Although recently we did get a kitten in the house. And I have to say they are quite playful and jovial. They're a little bit sly, but they're very self-sufficient in many ways. And they're well able to look after themselves. They can get into all kinds of small little corners, and they know how to play us, I think. They know how to try and get what they want. They'll cuddle up beside you and purr and meow, and I was going to say give you these puppy dog eyes, but they're not puppy dog eyes, they're kitty cat eyes, and look directly at you, and sometimes even preferably look at you from above, because I think they think they're above us, and do what they have to do to get what they want. And I have to say, I admire a little bit of that. I'm not like that, I don't think myself. I think I would be more loyal. So I would be somewhere between a cat and a dog, but I'd be a jovial little creature, I think. Thank you.
And with that, I'd like to end the jovial topics for this evening. And thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster.
So before our Topics Master leaves, we normally turn back one of the questions back to her. So Helen, could you tell us, how would you explain war to children?
Madam Topics Master, of all the topics, is the one probably I don't want. I know I have children that my sister's grandchildren, I visit them very often. And the eldest girl is 7. And she said, Helen, do you know people fight? And I said, yes, they do. And they kill. Yes, they do. And what do you think about it, Helen? I think it is a desperate crime. I think it's a desperate thing for anybody to decide they are greater than you to such an extent they will kill you. And I hope in your lifetime that you never meet that. And in my lifetime, I haven't. And I hope that you live to a ripe age without any killing or without anything of that sort. And she said, Helen, aren't you very old? And I said, well, yes. And she said, well, I'll be old too, and I won't get killed. Thank you. Madam Toastmaster.
No, thanks very much for that. Hopefully we'll have more time during the rest of the second part of the show to hear some more topics. But now it's time for a break. and it is 20:54. Down on the agenda, it's 20:55, time for a break, so we're perfect time. So we'll be back then at, let me see, 9:05. So we'll take a 10-minute break or 11-minute break, and we'll be back at 9:05. See you then. I remember on and I top on and I brought big heavy coat for the first time, live.
You know the topics, or you know when we're doing the topics or something like that, and then the topics you come up with. Are they just, is everyone given a heads up on that, or is that just kind of random and everyone just randomly speaks on it?
Well, the topics master comes up with topics.
Yes.
So they can do that any way they like. They pick a theme and ask all romantic topics or anything they like.
Okay.
They generally wouldn't ask a guest the first time like that. They approach you first.
I was chatting with Helen when I was just doing this there.
Yeah.
So she went through the topics. So I had a bit of.
I'm normally cheating like that.
No. So my question was like, I'm supposed to tell you. No.
The whole idea is to teach you how to speak in this word one. That's the only reason why it's teaching. It's not to be. You did very well.
Yeah.
But no, the whole idea is to know what topic. And the best part is the person asks the topic and then takes you. So that you have to be listening to the topic. Unless I'm speaking myself, my very technical.
$1,000 for the head is getting them out then.
Every time you ask. In fact, the Jews say every time just it helps you stand.
Yeah, probably just.
Now, welcome back. I made a terrible mistake at the start of the meeting. I forgot to introduce our general evaluator of the evening. And our general evaluator this evening is Sharon D. Yes, I can see Sharon there on the screen. So I asked Sharon the exact same questions. And she said, Deirdre, I've been a Toastmaster for nearly 1 year. My favorite proverb is a Buddhist one. Never be afraid of being alone, because alone you find your best friend. So thank you. I'm looking forward to tonight's meeting. So Sharon, if you wouldn't mind, very, very late, just telling us what exactly the role of general evaluator involves.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Yes, my role this evening is just to evaluate the meeting, the whole meeting, with the exception of the speech evaluators, the speeches, the evaluators will be doing that. But yeah, just to see how everything goes. And it's very interesting this evening because we have hybrids, so a bit different. And yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying what I'm seeing so far. So let's continue on with it and enjoy the rest. And I did look up my anniversary of Toastmasters. So on the 6th of May, it will be a year since I joined.
Thank you very much for that, Sharon D. Now, I'm going to introduce our next speaker. So it's Siobhan Fitzgerald, with a speech entitled The Key, Siobhan Fitzgerald.
I hold the key to the deepest treasures in your life. What if I told you that you hold that key too? Fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests. Charles Dickens said, a very little key can open a very heavy door. Growing up as one of 7 siblings, to be heard, I had to shout or wait and share my stories with somebody who would listen. For me, that was my granddad. As I grew and had my own family, I thought I had it all. I was a partner, parent, pretty good teacher. But something was missing. I wasn't listening. Have you ever been too busy to truly listen? I have. Honey, how was your day? Fine. Well, mine was, your dinner's in the oven. Mom, guess what happened to me today? What? Tell me. Oh, wait, the phone. Teacher, I'm really sorry. I couldn't do my homework because, again, it's just my mom. That's the 3rd time. Well, she's very detention. I really should have known better because of Granddad. He taught me how to listen. Granddad loved to see us children coming. He seemed oblivious to the noise, the time, and the phone, inviting us to sit on his lap or gather round and tell our stories. He would listen without judgment, without interruption, but with interest, patience, and wonder, truly listening to what he was hearing. His occasional, oh really? And what happened next? Encouraged us to go deeper and kept us coming back with more and deeper treasures. As he smiled and nodded his attention, my mother would sometimes joke, he must have his hearing aid turned off. But we felt so good, wrapped warmly in his attention, that we vied for it, even with my grandmother, who would say, don't interrupt your grandfather when he's listening to me. Many times in my life, I've seen just how key good listening is. My good friend Paula left her husband because she said he just didn't listen. And have you ever noticed how sometimes people listen but hear something else? Like when my 3-year-old ran out of the conservatory at home. Andrew, please close the door. There's a draft coming in. 3 more times. In and out he ran until finally I yelled, there's a draft coming in. Andrew stamped his foot and yelled back, there is no giraffe in the conservatory. But I can't forget an incident I witnessed over 20 years ago. A teacher hit a student. Bam! He hit him again in the stomach. I felt the impact. And then the teacher screamed, red-faced, wild-eyed and shaking, that this student, for dyeing his hair, was out of control. The meek, teenaging student raised his head in plea, please, listen to me. And I remember so fondly the times Grandad Michael sat with us in a loving silence, giving us such a good listening to. We shared our thoughts, our stories, our hearts. I remember that one occasion when he dropped his golden nugget of advice, saying, "It is no coincidence that listen and silent are spelled with exactly the same letters. When the whole world is noisy, shh, listen. You have to become silent to let the voice emerge." As a partner, parent, pretty good teacher, I'm now consciously trying to listen first to what's said, how it is said, and what's not said. They say that a baby can hear in the womb, and that our sense of hearing is our last sense to go when we die. Aware of this, when I last saw Granddad in a hospital bed, I sat with him in a loving silence. I listened and then whispered into his ear, "Thank you for listening." Have you ever felt truly listened to? It feels like falling in love again. It feels amazing. But the flip side, so much pain, misunderstanding, and missed moments when we don't listen. As we emerge through the heavy door of conflicts and lockdowns, we need a key to open things up, to provide comfort and healing, to unlock fears, misunderstandings, to reveal wonderful new possibilities. Nobody makes a lock without a key. What if listening in a loving silence is the key? I hold it, you hold it, we all hold it, but can we shh and choose to use it? Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much for that. Siobhan, thank you very much. Now we're going to have 1 minute silence while you write some sort of feedback, to give some feedback to Siobhan. Normally we'd have slips given around here, but we don't have that today. If you want to send it on chat or on WhatsApp, just feedback about what you liked about her speech. Siobhan is involved in the contest, so every bit of feedback that she gets, she really would appreciate it. Now, I also, being aware that it's a while since I've been live in front of people in Athlone, forgot to call up one of our evaluators, Samesh, to give the objectives of the speech. So I don't know if there were specific objectives, but normally before the speech, I would call up the evaluator to give the objectives. But once the minute is up, then we'll get it. Or it's probably too soon, Samesh. You probably need a little bit more time to evaluate the speech. Are you happy to do it within a short space of time?
What we can do is I can actually give an educational presentation because Sanjeev is not here.
Okay.
And we have our guest and we have a new member as well, so I think it might be a benefit for them. And it might be a refresher for us all.
And do that before you do your evaluation.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so we have lost Francis for the timing, so I want to apologize for that. I didn't spot it in time, so I didn't, Siobhan's speech hasn't been timed. So will I just give you that 1 minute starting now? No, it's not going to work.
Just look at the time. 21:17. It's 21:18. I think you probably have something with it. Yeah. 1 minute.
No, I'd say the 1 minute is up now, is it? Now, I'm going to call our president up, Samesh Kumar, and Samesh is going to give an educational program. Samesh.
Right, so since Sanjeev's speech is not happening today, he's not able to come. I had done a presentation to the District 71 on the onboarding of new members to Pathways. So I might actually do a quick rundown of that. So I will share the, what I'll do is I'll actually share the screen for our online members as well. Right. This is a presentation that I gave to District 71 on new member orientation with a focus on pathways. So we joined Toastmasters, then what is the next thing that we need to do after joining Toastmasters? This is the kind of presentation. I hope you're able to see the screen online. Are you seeing the full in the slide mode? Okay. So basically, there are different things that we do in Toastmasters meeting, and I think it probably will benefit our guest and our new member as well in terms of how we are running. And I mentioned the same thing in the previous presentation. It's like preaching to the converted in terms of the members who are already there in Toastmasters. It's like preaching to the converted. But anyway, we are doing that. So what has happened is, I think for the people here, yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so basically how Toastmasters is structured is there are clubs across different countries, and particular number of countries are categorized as a district. For example, Athlone is in District 71. And District 71 consists of the whole of Republic of Ireland and Northern UK. And then the Southern UK is District 91. So what has happened is Toastmasters introduced a new program called Pathways, which is mainly based on an online experience. Earlier, we had a program which was not based on online experience. It was more a book, a real printed book that comes to you, and then you go through that book and you do the speeches. So basically what has happened is there are new members joining into the club, but then they are not registering themselves in Pathways. And therefore, they're not being recognized for the effort that they are putting in terms of actually giving the speeches in the club. They have to be recognized by Toastmasters International. And the only way that is done is when they log on to the Pathways, when they go to toastmasters.org and do it. So this is a presentation that I said I'll give just for the people to understand that they need to know how many people are registered on Pathways. And how to know that is for the officers, they go into the Leadership Central, Club Central, they look on the club roster, they export the Excel sheet, and then they will see the column called pathways enrolled. And if pathways enrolled is no, that means that member has not enrolled themselves in pathways. So it's very important that all the members enroll themselves in pathways. And then basically what I went through is in terms of a holistic view of how to introduce a new member into Toastmasters, along with giving them the flavor of pathways. That online experience is really important. So this is what we say, our objective is to help you meet your goals. And the new member, what are your goals? So what do you want to improve yourself on? That is how we want to orient the new members who come to Pathways. Any specific thing that we can help you with your goals, and what are your time frames in order to help you with your goals? Then we talk about all the roles, like what we have done now, the roles, Toastmaster, table topic speaker. Like I think we should give a huge round of applause to our to Mark, who has given a great table topic speech in your first appearance in a Toastmasters meeting. It's I've seen lots of new people coming in and giving that, and you're one of the top there in terms of how you expressed yourself. So congratulations on that, Mark. Yeah, so all these roles that we have and how each of the roles help us in increasing our specific skills. For example, if someone is doing a Toastmaster role, like Deirdre is doing the Toastmaster role today, that is helping in terms of organization, time management, practicing, planning. Now, all these skills are being developed when we do these roles. If we do a grammarian role, we are doing all this evaluation, interpersonal communication, public speaking. We're doing a role of R counter. That's an interesting, actually in normal Toastmasters clubs, what happens is that the grammarian role and the R counter role are separate roles. But in the clubs here and in Athlone as well, what we have been doing is we have clubbed the two roles. So that is another thing that we do, right? So, and then we have the timer role, which helps us to understand the meaning of time. And what I mentioned was that even seconds and minutes and seconds are really important as well. We understand the value of each and every second when doing the timer role. Because, for example, if someone is participating in a speech contest, they should be between 5 to 7 minutes. If they are 7 minutes, 31 seconds, they are disqualified. 7 minutes, 30 seconds is the maximum that they can go. So we really understand the importance of each and every second and how we are giving value to the people who are listening to us. And table topics is helping us to speak on the fly. Then as a topics master, we give lots of topics to people. And then as a speaker, we actually practice our speaking skills. As an evaluator, we develop our critical thinking skills and provide feedback and motivation to the speaker. Then as a general evaluator, again, there is a critical thinking, organization, time management, all these skills are being developed. And then earlier, these roles, when we were doing these roles, the people used to get credit in terms of doing those roles. But in Pathways, there is a question how they will get to know. And there is a particular way, like for example, if you're doing a speech evaluation, we get a credit for doing the speech evaluation. And for completing, when we complete the level 3, we have to do the roles of evaluator, Toastmaster, and table topics master. So those are the roles that needs to be done. Then talking about what is Pathways itself, there is it's like a whole. We got all these different 11 parts. We have ranging from dynamic leadership to the visionary communication, and then the engaging humor was introduced. It was not there in the beginning. It was introduced at a later stage. So each and every path will help us to develop a particular skill. For example, dynamic leadership, if you are taking, the additional skills that are built is strategic leadership and conflict resolution. Then if you're taking effective coach, a particular skill is developed. If you're taking engaging humor, it's mainly public speaking because it's related to humor. Then if you're taking innovative planning, it's a different set of skills again. There is a project management that is coming in. leadership development, it has strategic leadership there, motivational strategies, persuasive influence, presentation mastery, strategic relationships, team collaboration, visionary communication. So all these are the different paths that are there, and each path has got different levels. So there are 5 levels in each of the paths. And then what we do in terms of having mentors, providing mentors in the club, I think it's really important to have the mentors who can guide. And then how the Toastmasters is structured, we have the members, clubs, area, and then we have division, districts, regions, and then the board of directors. And then how, taking on the leadership roles, we can use our leadership experience and we can build. For example, area director is someone who has 5 clubs to manage, 5 or 6 clubs to manage. A division director is they can manage 20 clubs. They'll have 4 or 5 areas under them. And then district director would manage the whole district. So there is a lot of leadership experience that people can get. And then what I talked about was when you join Toastmasters, you receive that email from membership@toastmasters.org that provides all the details. Then how do you go into the profile pathways, and then you go to the base camp and you start with your icebreaker project. That's the first project. And I think Derek was planning to do the icebreaker this meeting, but hopefully he'll be able to do the icebreaker in the next meeting. We look forward to Derek's icebreaker. And then awards and recognition that each club would give, and the educational badges that they receive. This is one of the things about pathways, that once you complete a level, you get a certificate of proficiency for that level. So, and then for a path as well. And then our expectations of the club, what are expectations, how we meet, what is a communication channel. And then I used a Menti software to get the poll from people in terms of getting the feedback, and how the pathways should have different types of coordinators. That there should be a VP education, there should be a mentor, there should be a pathways guide, and then we could have people at the area level and division level and district level to support. And then I had some checklist things here. So basically, it's the new member orientation, and it's I did this in 1 hour, and I've gone through this in whatever 7 minutes or something. But I guess it was a little bit informative to you. Okay, thank you very much for your time. Thank you. I actually don't have any words to express what I have to say for Shivan's speech. Whenever she speaks, she makes everyone speechless. You won't have any words to express how wonderful the speech was. We are really grateful to have Shivan as a member of Athlone Toastmasters. She has always been a huge inspiration for all the members in Athlone Toastmasters in terms of her participation in all these competitions and how she comes out as the best among everyone. This is a trait that Shivan has shown for probably many years, I would say now, that in the last competition that she took part in, she went into the district level, and this time she has taken part representing a club in New Zealand, isn't it? I think she's representing a club in New Zealand. And this is what the Zoom is helping us to do. I was telling this in the previous presentation as well, that COVID has been a disaster. Undoubtedly, COVID is a disaster. Many people lost their lives. But there has been a silver lining out of COVID, and that is this, that the Zoom has come into a prominence, and the boundaries between the world doesn't exist anymore. Of course, it has got its own limitations as well. And I digress when I am doing the speech evaluation for Shivan's speech. Coming back to Shivan's speech evaluation, I think the way Shivan conveys her message with so much tranquility, with so much silence, with so much vocal variety, with so much body movements within the frame of the Zoom environment. It's just amazing. I listened to a speech from one of our world champion of public speaking. It was Mike Carr, I think his name is. He was speaking about his experience in terms of how he faced the challenges. And it was quite an interesting speech. And he actually went like this. He covered the camera and then he did like this. He experimented the whole thing with the Zoom. And I think this is what I have seen, Shivan, you have done it extremely well. You have used the small square frame that Zoom provides, and you have used the whole real estate space, as they say, within the small frame. And that was wonderful. And the vocal variety that you have, when you were talking about how about the silence part that you were talking about, you actually were, you are very silent. You actually said like that. And it's really amazing to see this in action. We generally don't see this in action. So congratulations on a wonderful speech. I don't know what kind of recommendation I should be giving, because I really can't think about anything. But in terms of being the district champion, I think probably what I have seen in World Champion of Public Speaking speeches is they keep it as simple as possible. So what I have seen is they have one particular story, and that story starts, it is in the beginning of the speech and it is in the end of the speech, the same story. And they thread it across the whole speech. I've seen that repeated across all the World Champion of Public Speaking. For example, there was Dhananjaya Hitaraki. He had a speech, I see something in you. So what he did was that I see something in you, he kept that thread across from the beginning to the end. And I think if you can do something like that, I think it probably might help, that one thread going across from the beginning to the end. You had a lot of stories, small stories. So maybe what you could think is have one story and link it throughout the whole speech. And then when you begin with that story, you have some ups and downs in the story. And then in the end, you see how you have come out of that in a way that maybe you actually did not win, but at least you learned something from that. I think I have seen that as well. So that would be my small kind of suggestion. Otherwise, Shivan, we are really grateful that you are in our club and you keep giving these wonderful speeches. Thank you very much.
Oh, Smash, thank you very much for that. I'm afraid if that had been a formal evaluation, you would have been disqualified. But you did digress during it and you gave a little bit outside it, so we're going to forgive you for that. So now I'm going to call on our first reporter of the night, and it's very jovial, to try and get it in at least for a second time, Monica Salazar with the Grammarian Report. Monica, you're very welcome.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster. This meeting was great and full of words and quotes and phrases, very, very important and interesting. Some of them is we started with Helen, and she mentioned that there is no comfort as your own home. So those are kind of interesting phrases that make us reflect about the comfort zone or not. We listened some words as selfless, and we heard an example like a mother is an example of a total selflessness. So that was mentioned also by Somesh. Then we got also a lot of another phrases like in the speech, like very little key can open a very heavy door. So by Siobhan, that's a very interesting phrase that she used in her speaking, in her speech. Also another how the key listening is so important. So I think we did a good job in general in the meeting. Regarding the use of the jovial word of the day, Helen used this 4 times, myself 1 time, Siobhan 3 times, and Somesh 2 times. And yeah, so there were some about the improper grammatical uses. I can mention with myself some filling words and mispronunciations, things like that to improve. But in general, I didn't detect like missing of apostrophes or wrong sentences, constructions, or double negatives, messages or sentences. So yeah, so that's all from my side. Thank you very much.
No, we don't have a timer's report for this evening. Unfortunately, Francis's battery or his laptop let him down in some way. But I can say that Monica's Primerian report was 2 minutes 43 seconds. Somesh's speech was one of the things about Toastmasters is stuff goes wrong. That's the way it is. But Toastmasters just get on with it anyway. And Somesh is a perfect example of that tonight when he produced a presentation first instead of the speech that we were supposed to have. So that was 10:55 minutes for that. I think he said normally does it in an hour, is it? Is that what you were saying? Yes. Okay. And his evaluation then was 5.5 minutes. It did go outside, but I did think that he had some very interesting points to bring to Siobhan for her next contest speech that I'm sure she'll take on board. Now it's time to call the general evaluator to evaluate the whole meeting. Sharon.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster. So congratulations on the second hybrid meeting. So exciting to have this set up. Unfortunately, I wanted to come to the room today, but I have a hole in my diesel tank. It's a whole nother story. But I felt like I was there with you from home, which is really like a nice feeling for hybrid to realize how smooth it's going. The 2 cameras set up, seeing both the audience and the speaker worked very well. I enjoyed that. As I said, it gave you the feeling of being in the room. At one point, had the table topics master been at home, it wouldn't have been completely clear who was in the room. So had we been doing the table topics from the online, I don't know if we would have managed to not miss anybody in the room. So maybe a list or something going forward, just not to miss someone might be a suggestion. The voices at the time also were a little muted. I didn't hear the word of the day, so I couldn't actually use it until I'd stopped speaking when I heard it. So that was the reason for that. Deirdre, so welcoming both the screen and in the room. You could tell the way that you were addressing both, and that's a really fantastic skill to have. You followed the agenda and introducing the roles, and you spoke to people before, and you could give them a little bit of a, you know, introduction and a quote that they had picked. So that was lovely. I did the same thing as Toastmasters of the evening. When you work off the agenda and you introduce people, you tend to land on table topics master, and it flows to keep with the table topics after that. So that might be something to look into. Sorry, now I've lost myself. Yeah, the table topics, great selection of topics. Well done, Helen. It was very nice and included everyone, I think, that I could see. Congratulations to Mark, who did an excellent first meeting table topics. That was fantastic. And to all the new members, I'm very jealous that you got on the live stage before me and you actually got to do your table topics there, and you've done a great job. Everyone did, so that was fantastic. And again, then Deirdre was excellent with time, kept us on time for the break and coming out of it. For Siobhan's speech, it was great to have the full screen put up, so the speaker's view was there. We lost the timer, but well done to Samesh, who covered the second speech and also did the time of it so well and cut down his roles. I think losing the timer and losing the second speech, it was really great to see how professional everyone was to be able to rally around. And then the reports back were very good. Look, guys, you're just all pros. It was an absolutely enjoyable meeting. Thank you.
Now we're coming towards the end of the meeting, and we were to have, as you know, Sanjeev couldn't make it tonight, and going along with Sanjeev would have been Derek, who was going to evaluate Sanjeev's speech. But Derek had answered the questions, so I might as well give you the answers Derek gave to the questions that I asked about how long he was on Toastmasters, whether he counted the chickens before they hatched, and did he have a favourite Shanach or a proverb. And Derek said, I've been a member since the 20th of January. 2 whole months. Is it even 2 whole months? I've counted my chickens before they've hatched a lot of times. Most recently, I went to Poland and assumed it was going to be freezing, and filled my suitcases with coats and heavy jumpers. But when I got there, it was 12 to 14 degrees for the 3 days. And one of my favorite proverbs is, may your roof never fall in and your friends never fall out. My grandmother used to say that to us. Thank you very much for that, Derek. Now, this is goodbye from me. I'm going to hand over the gavel to our president to his closing remarks. And I have an ending quote for you. And it's from Roy T. Bennett, who's an author. Don't be pushed around by the fears in your mind. Be led by the dreams in your heart. Mr. President.
Quarter to 10. So that's the time that we have to close, and we are done well, I would say, to follow the time. So congratulations to everyone here and online for making it possible that we started nearly on time and we are ending nearly on time. One of the things that I wanted to say was the next meeting, which is on 12th of April, is going to be an interesting one. We were contacted by a club in Germany, Leipzig Club. And they said that they wanted to have a collaborative meeting with us. And we said, yes, why not? Experiment something new. Go out of our comfort zone. That's what we are here for in Toastmasters. We keep going out of our comfort zones. And we are going to have that on 12th of April. There will be members from Leipzig Club in Germany, and then we'll be here. The only thing is whether we should do a hybrid or not is the question. Because actually they are planning hybrid there from their perspective, but we were actually thinking whether we should do a pure online or whether we should do hybrid. But if people are up to it, we could do hybrid as well, like how we have done today. The only thing is we should hopefully have more people attending in person to cover the cost for the hotel. That would be the challenge. I think. Otherwise, thank you so much for your time today. And it's been a great pleasure to spend time with you this nearly 2 hours, and a great learning experience as always. Thank you so much, and safe home to the people who are here in the hotel, and safe good night and a great sleep for everyone attending from home. Thank you very much. Take care.